Manila's lights are on. I'm James Sterling, and the sun is rising in the west. You look through the records of contemporary sports. Additionally, there are very few occasions where the scoreboard is shown as meaningless. Sometimes a tidal surge of sheer cultural power, rather than a scorched forehand or an ace, brutally upends the established pecking order, the brutal calculus of rankings, and the silverware. The impossible has just come true down in Melbourne, which is why we are going live at this very moment. The Titans were predicted to win the Australian Open, the first Grand Slam of 2026. It was created as the Aryna Sabalenka demonstrated the overwhelming power and supreme hard-court gatekeeper, stomping on the path to yet another prize. On her dynasty, the ink was dry. Her accuracy was the subject of pre-written pieces. However, each and every one of those drafts has been destroyed. Not only has the story changed, it has been completely destroyed. Overnight, a 20-year-old prodigy who pulled off a heist that the experts, oddsmakers, and Federation suits never predicted took the sport's center of gravity away from the reigning monarchs and placed it squarely on his shoulders. Her name, Alex Eala, is finally being heard by the world. However, the streets are referring to her as the period. The bulletin for tonight isn't about the score. We are witnessing the complete breakdown of the current situation. Melbourne Park data breach confirms a previously unheard-of oddity. For the first time ever, the world number one, Aryna Sabalenka, has been statistically outperformed by Alexandria's ratings, gear sales, sheer volume in the stands, and online talk. Take a moment to realize how serious that is. This is the circumstance. While Court 6 is besieged 50 yards away, Sabalenka, the ruler of Melbourne, is playing deadly, flawless tennis and gazing at empty chairs in the press room. Since thousands of people are battling for a sightline of the Filipino southpaw, riot control measures are implemented. This goes beyond celebrity. This is a rebellion. We are witnessing the beginning of a new type of icon. Tennis searched Europe and the Americas for a successor to the Big Three's magnetism for 20 years. We were looking at the incorrect map. The madness of the past 48 hours is comparable to either the raw dawn of Manny Pacquiao's age or the pinnacle of sanity. Now, though, it's blowing up inside the quiet, genteel world of Grand Slam tennis. That quiet is no longer there. Eala has done more than just compete. She has taken control of the competition, making the real championship a side story. There are no Belarusian hues to be seen if you go about the grounds at the moment. Rather, it is a sea of yellow, blue, and red. The PA system on the main stage gets drowned out by the loud yelling. We are witnessing Sabalenka's exhaustion violently turn into a madness. The main topic of our coverage is how a player who was essentially unknown a year ago managed to destroy the largest titan of sports celebrity. When the most valuable item isn't the girl lifting the cup, but rather the person carrying the spirit of a country and an international movement, what does this portend for the future of the game? We analyze the phenomenon tonight. We'll reveal the metrics that WTA executives are stunned with. We'll dissect the Eala effect, which has completely changed the Australian summer. We'll discuss the era, the viral moniker, and the reasons it implies this is a permanent shift in leadership rather than a passing fad. Aryna Sabalenka is vying for a trophy out there. Alex Eala. She seemed to be battling for immortality. This is the story of how Melbourne's celebrity hierarchy was overturned. The new Pacific Queen's ascent. This is the tale of Alex Eala. The ground conflict is the first part. You must walk onto Melbourne Park's pavement to fully understand the extent of this disturbance. I have covered 15 openings. I saw the zenith of Federer. Although I was present for Serena Williams' last lap, Alex Eala's intensity is a whole other animal. The icons are typically kept hidden in the glass towers of Margaret Court Arena and Rod Laver. The prime-time TV slots are theirs. The atmosphere is professional, clean, and secure, and seats are reserved months in advance. Ella's seed has allowed her to democratize the turmoil. She began on the outer courts, the people's domain, and the trenches. In a manner that a giant like Sabalenka can never be, she became touchable. Seeing Sabalenka from the nosebleeds, she is a far-off deity. 5 meters away from you, Behind a wire fence, Eala is inhaling air, and that closeness set off the fuse. The crush of bodies surrounding Court 6 during her early matches pushed the fire safety limitations by 300%, according to security logs. Directors of tournaments we spoke with admitted to it. They were caught off guard. She was reserved by the organizers for a 1,500-person event. However, 5,000 people poured through the gates in a huge surge, screaming, "Let's go, Alex," with a ferocious passion you'd expect at a soccer riot in Manila rather than a civilized Victorian tennis court. Fans climbed garbage cans and hung from fences. Hold on, though, because the stats are simply astounding. Aryna Sabalenka was engaged in a televised battle on the center court while Aya was only warming up on Court 10. In the Pacific and Southeast Asia, Eala's training exercises saw a 40% increase in viewership compared to Sabalenka's live tournament. Advertisers are in complete panic about the statistic, which indicates a dramatic change in the public's attention market. Eala simply disrupted the system. The second section, the Sabalenka paradox, will now be discussed. Let's be fair and show Aryna the respect she deserves. She is a marvel of the body. Unquestionably one of this generation's best hardcore gladiators. Although her journey through the tournament would typically dominate the headlines because to her unmatched strength, fame is a cruel game. Like a Terminator, Sabalenka is vicious, explosive, intimidating, and, to be honest, a little frigid to the touch. Casual viewers are yawning because she controls the Australian courts so thoroughly. For her, victory seems certain. While Alexandra Eala personifies the grit, the battle, and the fantasy, flawlessness kills tension. She uses strong spin to make up for being much smaller than the Belarusian monster, approaching each rally as if it were a survival situation. Her signature tactical genius, honed during her time at the Rafa Nadal Academy, is pure grandmaster chess. She is the ultimate dark horse above all else, and the media is going crazy because of that extreme disparity. Sabalenka is well known for her trophy winnings. Millions of people in Asia and the Philippines rely on Eala to save their souls. She is more than just a sportswoman. She is a living example of why their people ought to be given attention on a worldwide scale. Eala clearly bears the weight of an entire country as Sabalenka battles for her coaching box. A weight of honor that no trophy cabinet can match. An Eala winner brings the audience to tears, while a Sabalenka ace receives courteous applause. The popularity scales have tipped because of that emotional divide. The era is the third section. Let's dissect that title. Think about the moniker. On sites like X and TikTok, it started out as just a hashtag and a silent rumor. It was once the AA era, but it has since crystallized and condensed into the singular, strong proper word the era. What caused the change? Since it delineates a historical boundary. Prior to her, tennis in Southeast Asia was hardly noticed. Appearances were short and infrequent. However, this new title proclaims the end of the obscurity era. It indicates that this is not some fleeting lucky streak and predicts a long reign of domination. This is the beginning of a 10-year story, and the conventional tennis powers are terrified by that moniker. Coaches in America and Europe who are keeping an eye on this development are understanding that the sports landscape is changing. And it's much more than simply Alexandra. Because a champion who resembles themselves is making news, it symbolizes millions of Asian children picking up rackets for the first time. We have seen similar pattern in the past. It was Tiger Woods. It was Serena Williams. They transformed the audience's demographics, the athlete's demographics, and the financial flow. Analysts who use the term, the era, are wagering that she will cause a similar surge in the economy and culture. The velocity is the frightening aspect. Already influencing global economies at the age of 20, she is hardly an adult. There are rumors that Wilson, Adidas, and Nike are engaged in massive bidding battles behind closed doors. They understand that signing her entails more than just scheduling an athlete. It's taking over a sizable portion of the world. The tactical evolution is covered in Part 4. Since celebrity status vanishes without the abilities to support it, we must examine her real gameplay. Her qualification runs here in Melbourne have shown how much A's mechanics have changed over the last 6 months. Her brittleness from adolescence has disappeared, and her serve, which was once a weakness, has transformed into a deadly blade. From surgical accuracy rather than pure speed, she opens the court with a geometry that shouts young Rafael Nadal as she slices that left-handed serve wide on the advantage side. Her completely unwavering worldview, however, is the most astonishing development. The previous iteration of herself would have shattered when she lost the opening set against a sitting American opponent who was favored to demolish her. She chose to dig her heels in, channel the energy of the crowd, smile despite the deficit, and embrace the heat, an instinct that is impossible to teach. That is the secret component that Sabalenka frequently lacks. When the stadium becomes hostile, despite her use of brutal force, she falters. This strategic maturity demonstrates that the panic is more than simply phony marketing, as Eala thrives on the chaos. She is destroying the spirits of rivals who are physically stronger but psychologically weaker, as well as favorites who are ranked higher than her on paper. She is deciphering the current power tennis code by taking advantage of every weakness with her acute angles, sensitive touch, and unadulterated, pure heart. The global shockwave is part 5. The stats that are coming in from Manila are mind-blowing. According to reports, traffic in the capital just stops when Eala takes the court. The production of corporations stagnates. Professors turn out the lights in the lecture halls so that each student can see the match. This degree of devotion hasn't been witnessed since Manny Pacquiao. However, keep in mind that this is for a sport that has no historical roots, unlike basketball or boxing. And not a single archipelago is able to contain this fever. Officials here in Melbourne estimate that the economic upturn is due to $15 million in new tourism revenue rather than just Fortnite. In addition to watching tennis, pilgrims are traveling from Singapore, Jakarta, and Hong Kong to see a revolution. She has surpassed Sabalenka for precisely this reason. Tennis purist tickets are moved by Sabalenka. Eala transports tickets for everyone on the planet. She has outperformed the niche. Families who are unable to distinguish between a set and a match are mentioning her name. What does that mean for the defensive chamber, then? It must burn, feeling like an extra in a blockbuster film while sitting at the top of the world. During Sabalenka's press briefing yesterday, reporters barraged her with questions about her opponent's overwhelming fan base instead of her own deadly backhand, which escalated the tension. Despite the dense air, she managed to smile. The usurper is already at the gates, and the queen is observing the crown drop. As this transmission draws to a close, the court of public sentiment has already rendered its decision if the scoreboard does not reflect the change today. We must look across the horizon as the evening passes over the Yarra River. What is this week's actual weight? Will the story change if Alexandra Eala wins or fails tomorrow? Without a doubt, the answer is no. In comparison to the cultural earthquake she has already caused, the scores on the scoreboard are insignificant. The media hysteria over her celebrity surpassing the champion is only the beginning. This lightning cannot be put back in the bottle. There is no longer a monopoly. This game was the exclusive domain of the West for a century, surrounded by Australia, North America, and Europe. They were manufactured icons. They make a silhouette fit. Alexandra Eala just hit that mold with a sledgehammer. She is live evidence that you can use sheer might to ascend from the tarmac of a poor country lacking a tennis heritage and take the throne. The era is more than simply a catchy moniker for a budding celebrity. It's a prophecy. She is at the forefront of the Asian tennis century, which is finally upon us. Imagine the child in Cebu tonight, hooked to a screen. Consider the dreamer in Malaysia, Thailand, or Vietnam. The technical perfection of Sabalenka is not being studied by them. They are captivated by Eala's battle. They are finally able to see a mirror of themselves as they watch the Filipino flag rise in the southern sky. Any payment made out to the winner is not as important as that spark. A dynasty is sparked by that spark. Aryna Sabalenka may take the trophy on her flight. She could guarantee her place in history. However, Alexandra Eala leaves with something even more hazardous. She departs with the knowledge that she has the power to stop the world and control a billion people's breath. A new reality has replaced the surprise. There is a shift in the tectonic plates. There is no longer a hierarchy. There is no denying one fact as we go dark tonight. Sabalenka's area is no longer the only one here. At Melbourne Park, we're broadcasting live from the beginning of a new era. Watch the history books being rewritten instead of just the ball. Good night.